All right, we're going to take maybe another minute or two, wait to see if we get some more folks joining, and then we will get going. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Is that working? Can folks see my screen? Is that working? Cool, thank you. All right, I'm gonna wait just a couple more minutes, I think. Maybe not a couple more minutes, just maybe 30 more seconds. Get rolling with this. Thank you all so much for joining today. It's really lovely to see all of you. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get rolling because we're right at 12. And I want to make sure that we are giving folks time to have their lunch. I know this is their lunch break, so I want to make sure that we're starting on time and getting out of here on time. All right. So thank you for joining me on the very first State of Mentorship address. Very excited to do this. This is all about you guys. So also, like, I'm moving, so my apartment is empty and very echoey, so I'm like very distracted by how echoey my home is right now. It's very confusing to me. But also I like look like I'm sitting in the saddest of corners, but it's actually not that bad. I have a nice window in front of me. All right, so anyway, back to State of Mentorship. So the goal of this session, the reason that we're doing this, is to provide you all with a consistent space to be seen, heard, and to participate in the continued growth of the Turing community. So essentially this session is all about you, right? So if you have thoughts, if you have opinions, if you have feelings about any of this, I want to hear them and I would love for you to share them with me. So just making it clear that this is all made for you all. I want to hear your thoughts. So what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to talk about what mentorship is at Turing. So like, what is this thing? What are our sort of key grounding drivers behind why we have a mentorship program? We're going to do some celebrations and talk about recognition a little bit. We're going to talk about some module specific connections as well as program updates. So we're going to talk a little bit about just changes that are happening in the mentor program, as well as just some status updates of stuff that's going on at Turing as a whole, just so you know. We're going to share a little bit of program data, and then we're going to do a State of Turing wrap up with our dear friend Jeff, who is eating his lunch. Very nicely, thank you. Ooh, so fancy. So cool. Let's get going. We're also going to do a few little breakout groups. I'm going to just mandatory fun you together to have like little chit chats along the way as we go. So first thing, we're going to start off with what is mentorship at Turing? So again, this is to sort of help us ground in this conversation, make sure that we have a point of why we're talking about this so everyone's kind of on the same page. So at Turing, we believe that mentorship is a foundational element of our community. This has been a very intentionally and important piece of our program that has been intentionally integrated since the beginning of Turing, and we think it's something that we really want to continue and make sure it's a priority. We want to support that. We believe that mentorship supports the growth and development of our mentors, that by being a mentor, that you are growing, that we're helping you reach your goals by doing this. And we also want to, we really believe that you provide vital perspectives and experiences for our students. So by mentoring, you are providing value to our students and their experience in the program. All right, so now, gonna have mandatory fun. Put you into little breakout rooms. Let me figure this out real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna put you in breakout rooms. We're gonna do, we are going to do about a couple of minutes. And let me just get this organized. Oh my goodness. All right, so we are going to do, we're going to have about three or 4 minutes to chat about this topic. So we're going to think again, what does being supported in your work as a mentor look like to you? All right, so I'm going to put you into your rooms. Take about 3 minutes. And we're going to come back. Hello. Is everyone able to? Okay, it looks like we had a couple folks who didn't get a spot. Hi, Jeannie. Are you there?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, did you just join?
I did.
Okay, cool. I've got folks in breakout rooms and they should be heading back pretty soon.
Oh, okay.
But so you can chit chat with me for a moment. So we were reflecting on, what does being supported in your work as a mentor look like to you?
Yeah, I kind of in a place with my mentee of like maybe some tough love.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what, I think she's just she's repeating for the second time, and I think I'm not really sure how to support her because she's not taking my advice. So yeah, I don't know what it looks like. I think that's one of the reasons I came today, because I don't know how to help. I don't know how to support her. I'm not really sure what she needs.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, everyone.
Hello. Ooh. Trying to bring everyone back. Did it work? I feel like maybe I'm having a Zoom catastrophe. Oh, there we go. Folks are coming back now. All right. So all right. So I hope you had some good conversations. Am I still sharing? Can everybody still see my screen? Cool.
Can see your screen. Here's my question for you, Louisa.
Yes.
What's the appropriate, when you get done with a phone call, and at least in America, we have like a lot of handshaking at the end of the phone call. It's like, okay, see ya, goodbye, talk to you soon, love you, whatever. There's like 6 steps of back and forth.
Yeah.
What is the appropriate close for a breakout room? Is it like, see you in a second, just blank? We went with the like,
just awkwardly pretend like it's not going to happen.
And now we'll all arrive back in the same room.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like, well, I mean, generally my reaction to most things is to just be uncomfortably awkward at everyone. So I just, that's my personality. But I feel like when folks are like, it was nice talking to you about this, okay, bye, that seems to.
Yeah. Okay.
Acknowledge the fact that it is an awkward parting of ways, but
I like Joe's peace out. Like just brief. Okay. So peace out on my questions now.
Great. Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So, all right. So try and get back. So we've got, so the next thing we're talking about is mentor celebrations and recognition. So we've got some fun stuff to share with everyone. So first thing is really like so currently right now we're working on kind of like an overhaul and like a reimagining of what the mentorship program is. And we're doing this again because we want to serve you all better. We want to make sure that we're really serving our mentor community and the folks that are giving their time in this way to our students. We want to make sure that we're really giving back to them as much as they're giving to their mentees, which is a lot. So we really want to, it's important to us. So our mentorship program is being built to support our mentor community's long-term goals through professional and personal growth, marketable skill development, and then visible recognition. So these are some things that we're just working towards, and I'll speak a little bit more about those in just a moment. But to get started, to help facilitate those lines of communication between our mentor community and our staff, we have established a mentor committee. And so to just speak a little bit about what the selection process was like, and why, like how we ended up with the folks that we ended up with. In the 2006 inning, the beginning of the 2006 inning, I sent out a mentor survey. I sent out a survey to mentees, to mentors, and then to instructional staff to just hear their perspectives on what it's like to be a mentor at Turing and what it's like to work with a mentor at Turing. And then based on those results, we had a subset of people that responded that indicated that they would be highly interested in being more involved in the community, or just they wanted to do more things. So just like, yes, sign me up. I have unlimited energy and time. And I don't ever need naps. I need all the naps. These humans apparently don't need any naps. So we took those, we looked for like a breadth of different perspectives, experience as a mentor, experience in the industry. We tried to just really get a nice blend of perspectives and experience levels. And this initial group will serve through the end of 2020. So they're having a slightly longer term because we are making some significant changes, and I want to make sure that we're having some consistent voices throughout the process in this initial phase, and then in future terms will be slightly shorter, so about 3 months long or about 2 modules. So it's not like a permanent commitment. It's just sort of like you can come in, make a really significant impact on the mentor community and to our team as a whole, and then you can get a little bit of a break. And then the mentor committee, our initial group, has completed their first inning in this role, which is very exciting. And here are the humans. These are your nerds. These are your support nerds. I know we've got, let's see, we've got Jake is on, not Jake. Oh my gosh, Jacob. Jacob's here. So we've got.
It's only Jake on the weekend, okay? It's business time. It's Jacob.
Yeah, this is Monday. It's Mr. Bogart.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Bogart. Very sorry. Mr. Jacob. So we've got, so this is our group. This is a really wonderful group of humans. I feel very lucky that I get to hang out with them every other week and then jabber at them. And then they tell me all the ways that I should jabber slightly differently, which is very helpful. They've been very, very wonderful and really making a really significant impact on the work that we're doing and making sure that we're, again, making changes that are most targeted for the people that we're making them for, which is all you. Let's see. So I wanted to speak a little bit about mentor recognition. So it's really something that's really important to me, is like making sure that people are recognized or acknowledged for the work that they do and the experience that they bring to the table and the value that they add to groups and organizations. And for a long time, our mentor community has really been driven just by the fact that we have such wonderful alumni and such a wonderful, like, proactive and engaged community that they've just been jumping in and just crushing it. And as all you know, you've just kind of been getting it done without a ton of guidance from us. So we want to fix that so you have more guidance, but we also want to acknowledge the work that you're doing and how valuable it is. So part of the goals of having some form of recognition for our mentors is to increase visible and tangible recognition for the effort and experience and value that you bring to the students' experience at Turing. And then, though it's still in development, this is still kind of like in progress. We're kind of locking all the pieces down. We want to make sure that these efforts are flexible enough to really support each mentor's unique preferences and just needs. So whatever can be most useful and most valuable to you, we want to be able to provide that to you. So you have a little bit of choice in what this recognition would look like. Some examples of what this recognition might be. Things like, they would just sort of be like automatically applied as you sign up to be a mentor. If you were a mentor of a graduating student, you would receive that mentee's cohort t-shirt and an invite to graduation. So again, like you get to celebrate with the person that you've been supporting. You've been like helping them. You've been with them when they've been struggling. You've been with them when they've been having successes. We want to make sure that you have an opportunity to be a part of that final celebration experience with them. We also want to have more visible mentor celebration and recognition on the Turing sites. So some form of more visible like acknowledgement of the work that you do and the part and the role in the community that you serve. More professional development, support, and guidance for mentors. So again, we want to make sure that we are helping you become better teachers, better instructors, better in your jobs. Make sure that the work that you're doing as a mentor is also helping you professionally and, you know, like at your place of employment. So we want to make sure that we are helping you that way. And then also over time, we want to be building out some form of mile marker recognitions, which could include things like a donation made on your behalf by Turing to the diversity scholarship, or maybe even like a student laptop fund. So making sure that the work that you're doing not only gives back to students in like the tangible, like technical curriculum ways, it's also making it more possible for people to join the program and make these changes for themselves, which is wonderful. All right. So we have another quick breakout group just to have some chatting about this. So couple things I want you to discuss in this breakout room. So what would you like to see from the mentor committee? So how can your mentor committee support you better or like be a positive impact for you? And then what are meaningful ways that you would like to be recognized for your work as a mentor? So what kind of recognition is like most valuable to you or most like feels most impactful for you? And then how can your mentor committee support you better? So let me go ahead and where did my tech? Oh dear. Being outsmarted. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put you back into your breakout rooms. We're going to do another 3 minutes. And there you go.
I got here late. I might not be in a breakout group.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay, cool. I'm going to send you places. I'm going to send you to some breakout rooms. So please hold while I send you. Oh gosh. Okay. My internet is being very slow.
Lisa,
so.
do we just want to make this a little breakout room?
Ooh!
And just here?
Oh, Heather.
Save you the trouble?
Yes, Heather, the genius, saving me from myself. Yes, that'd be great. So again, like the topics are, what would you like to see from your mentor committee? And then what are meaningful ways that you would like to be recognized for your work as a mentor?
I would think from the mentor community, kind of the big thing I've seen in the mentor channel is just kind of questions of how far, and some of the instructors, I know Aurora was in there and piped in, kind of where the instructors want us to kind of stop in terms of where we mentor, like if it's a graded assignment, if it's things like that, if they would say, hey, no, kind of a little bit more stricter guidelines on that, where if it's a group project, don't do it, but if it's Ruby exercises or mythical creatures, have a ball. Or like if it is a group project, try to mentor everybody in the group, like if it's smaller sessions. That way, as I know, when I was going through it, we'd have group, and I think it was mentioned in the channel, group members go off and be mentored and then come back with a solution to our group project that none of us knew kind of where it came from. So kind of more guidelines on how to handle group-based mentor, things like that.
Yeah, that's great. Anybody else have thoughts? Yeah.
I know that.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, you're good.
I know that, the curriculum's constantly changing. So I wouldn't mind just getting some just updates from the instructors of like, hey, what's new this inning? Like, is there something that you foresee us like needing to support more just because it's new for the instructors? Obviously it's new for the students as well. And also maybe a proper channel or some sort of formal channel to get a mentee a bit more support when somebody's really struggling. Like, what are the next steps? Because we can only do so much from our remote computers.
I'd like to second both of those points. I feel like every time I meet with my mentee, like at least 15 minutes is allocated to like, do you still do that? Do they still do that? And so I think that would be helpful to just have that information up front.
Yeah.
And then I think where I'm struggling with my mentee at this point is like, I've been helping her mostly with her like commitment to her schedule. But really, I think I needed some fresh ideas to support her because kind of at a place where I feel like I haven't, she's just having a hard time, I think, with the curriculum and everything. And she might need a little more, and I'm not really sure what that looks like. So
yeah, I'd love to chat with you later. Let's set up a time to chat about this, Jeannie.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I'm going to go ahead and close the breakout rooms now and bring everyone back. And then, all right. Just surprise kick everyone out of their breakout rooms. All right. Cool. All right, so I'm going to keep cruising as people are coming back. All right, so I hope you had some good conversations about mentor committee and then meaningful ways to be recognized as a mentor. Also, just so you know, I am going to send out a survey later this afternoon that has these questions. So if you want to share some of the topics that came up in these conversations with me, I'm going to send out a survey so you can like share your thoughts, because I don't know that we necessarily have time for like whole group conversations now, but I do want to hear all those ideas. And if there's anything that came up that you're like, ooh, that's a good one, I definitely want to know. So I'm going to send out a survey later this afternoon. All right, so moving on. So I'm going to share some program updates. So this is going to be a combination of things. So we're going to start off by talking about the mentorship program updates. So the things that are most going to impact you all. So big major updates are we started our mentor committee. Hooray, we have our wonderful nerds. And then we have a resource site. So you all have a resource site now that just it's new. It's still, it's still got some stuff in it, but it's got a lot of really useful content in there. So
some
there's
gold, some solid gold in it.
Solid gold. There's some squirrely UI stuff going on, but the content is very helpful. So it's mentorship.turing.io, and this is the site for you all. So this is going to have, you can see module calendars. You can see, like, we have some DTR templates. So we've got things that you can look like how to like kick off the relationship with your mentee, having some like very intentional conversations with them. We've got some information on module specifics. We've got a lot of different stuff in there that's really useful. We also have like a glossary of terms. So all like the Turing specific words that we use, we've got a list of those. So if you're like, what is the difference between a module and an inning? You can go look at it there. So cool. We also have been running regular focus groups and feedback sessions, again, because I want to make sure that the changes that are being made to the program are going to be impactful and useful to you. So that'll continue. We'll keep having those sessions to get information and just share updates with you, share the direction we're headed, and make sure that that's right. We're going to start implementing some data tracking to like just gauge the growth of the program, just see changes over time. We're going to start working on some mentor trainings. So we'll be doing various mentor trainings. Some of them will be technical, some of them will be more like management training, some of them will be like instructional best practices, some will just be like, how do I do this thing as a mentor? Like, what do I do with this person when they're sad? So we're going to be working on things to help you do your job better, or just make it easier to do your job as effectively as we know you can. And then again, we're working on our recognition options. And then we're also going to be working on some intentional community building for mentors like this state of mentorship. So when we talk about community building for mentors, some of the things that we're going to be working on or implementing. So we're going to have a state of mentorship that'll be held at the start of every inning following the state of turning. So as you'll know, if you're a graduate of the program, day one of every module, we start off by having this state of turning event where we share data, we share program updates, we just share a lot of information with folks to make me as transparent and open with everyone as possible. So we're going to basically have that again, day one. It'll always be recorded like this. So if you can't come in person, you can still participate, you can still get the information. We're also going to start having an end of inning mentor retro / like module closeout, which could just kind of turn into like a happy hour type of event. So basically just like some sort of end of inning, like hear your thoughts, if you've had anything that you've been struggling with, give you an opportunity to share that with me, and then also just celebrate the work that you've done this module. Having more consistent mid-module reminders, so you're aware of like, my mentee is about to head into mid-mods, maybe I should check in on them and see how they're feeling going into it and see how they're doing coming out of it. We're also going to start implementing office hours. So I will start having office hours be made public and available for you to sign up for. So if you're stuck, you have a place where you can go and like ask questions, get some guidance, offer suggestions, all of that space. And then sort of upcoming that's in the works, we're going to start building out some tailored orientation and like onboarding sessions for new mentors, or potentially like mentors who have been away from the mentor program for a while and then want to come back and start mentoring again. So again, we're just trying to build out some options to make sure that you're supported in the work that you're doing as a mentor. And you have opportunities to just like work to like collaborate more together, to get to know each other better, have a space to like do the thing together. Then we have some module specific connections. So one thing that we're kind of realized in these conversations is that mentor A's might be mentoring a student in like backend mod 1, and then mentor B is also mentoring a student in backend mod 1, but mentor A and mentor B don't know about each other. So having some intentional opportunities to connect together. So if you're like my mentee is like really sad this week, are they just having are they struggling, or is this just sort of like a cohort wide problem? And if it's a cohort wide problem, do we need to know about it so we can make some adjustments, or is that like good stress? So kind of facilitating some of those conversations and connections so we can help make our program stronger. And again, so you have more support. So some of the ways that we're thinking of doing that, like starting off, having Slack channels for mentors of students in the same modules. So I will be putting those together this week and making them open, and I will let you know in the mentor channel what those are called. So that will start happening. Again, we also have more mentor resources. So something I've heard a lot is just like the curriculum changes a lot. I'm not totally sure like if they're still teaching this or if they're teaching something new, or if I'm in like how do I help with a project? Like what's the appropriate or responsible way for me to help support my mentee on a project, or it can I even do that? So one of the parts of that mentorship.turing.io site, we have a module overview section. So every module has a breakdown of content within there. So you'll see who the instructors are, you'll have links to the projects, so you can check out what they're going to be working on this mod. And they'll give you a little bit of insight into like what's going on under the hood. So why are we teaching what we're teaching? What are the key learning goals for that module? What are the secrets that you shouldn't tell them in that module? Just giving you a little bit more context for like how to really work with someone so you can confidently get in there and be like, yes, I know how to help you right now. And I know that this is normal struggle, or I know that like this is not normal struggle, or I know that this is a secret that I shouldn't tell you just yet. So we're just, again, building more context and more understanding so you are able to get in there and be as effective as possible when you're working with folks. Also, again, working on some data tracking for the mentorship program changes so we can kind of gauge over time what's effective, what's not as effective, what we need to tweak, what we need to kind of adjust. So I'm still working on sort of developing this, and I'll be probably sending out this inning, but I do have an initial set of data collection questions. And then the mentor committee is working with me to help refine that. So I'll be getting that finalized and hopefully sending that out in sending out a survey to start collecting some of this information in the next few weeks. Then some non-mentor related updates. Just wanted to share some job support updates that we've been working on recently, which is pretty exciting. So we have a new fellowship program called Turing Plus. You may have heard of this already. It's been out for a little bit. We started it this year, but it's sort of like really gotten rolling in the last probably couple months, 3 months. So right now, 70 of 110 students our graduates are currently accepted, interviewing, or in a fellowship. And then we are able to customize our support based on where they're in the fellowship. So this is basically making it easier for companies to say yes to bringing on a junior engineer. And it's making it easier for them to be like, oh, this person's actually great, we should just hire them, which is good. So we are also realigning our job support. So we've done a little bit of an overhaul on what our career development team looks like and the shape of that and like where they focus their energies and how they work together. So right now we have Allison, and then Ryan and Tracy are working with her, and they are like the career dev squad. And then, so from graduation, from 0 to 50 days after graduation, Ryan and Tracy are going to be like the point people for students. So they'll be doing weekly check-ins, various work like that. From 50 to 100 days, so folks that are generally still looking for a job between 50 and 100 days need a little bit more of a power boost. They generally are feeling a little bit discouraged. They probably need somebody to really come in and be like, you got this. So a little bit slightly different level type of focus and customization for them. So now we've got Martin McGovern, who we've been working with for a number of years. And then we've got 2 alumni coaches that are also supporting those folks in that sort of time frame post-graduation. And then for our alumni who are 100 days out from graduation, we have powerhouse employment coach named Sue Kim, and then we have 4 alumni coaches. And so these folks are really working to customize an approach for these people who, because at this point, they probably really do need a bit of a power boost to really like, you can do this, you got this, let's get you back on track. So it's a little bit more customized, and it's a little bit more focused on really giving them that power boost to get back into the job hunt successfully. So those are the big job support updates. Maybe don't necessarily impact you directly as a mentor, but just stuff that's happening at Turing could be impacting your mentees. Just want to make sure that you're aware of it. And then we have one very exciting update, so accreditation. So we have been in the process for accreditation for quite some time, and we're at the home stretch. We're in the final leg of this. So this week, the 7th and 8th, we have our accreditation visit. So we have folks coming. They're going to like observe lessons. They're going to talk to staff. They're going to like really kind of do a final check to make sure that Turing should be accredited. And if we are approved, that would make Turing the first accredited boot camp. This is really exciting. And it would also, probably the most important part of this is that by being accredited, it really opens up significant funding options and support for our students. It makes it so much easier for people to be able to do this program, to be able to come and like learn and just do this. So this is really exciting. It's really important for our students, for folks who want to maybe do this but are like not sure if they can swing it financially. We're very excited. We're almost there. Oh my goodness. Jeff, do you have any other accreditation sharings? Oh, you're still muted. Jeff, we can't hear you. I can't hear you anyway.
I think my microphone cable was loose, but now it's back. We've been state accredited since basically we started, which is just like allows us to operate in the state of Colorado. And then federal accreditation is this long process, kind of overseen by the Department of Education. And yeah, so like if you went to college, the college was federally accredited. There are accreditors that oversee things like trade schools and beautician schools and like all kinds of different things one might pursue. We had to build up a certain like time frame of track record before we could even begin the process of applying. And then now we've been working on it for about a year and a half. And so, yeah, as Louisa said, it's like hopefully in the home stretch here, well, I guess it's the big thing is they're visiting this week, visiting over Zoom, dropping in on classes and all that. And then if that works out, it should come through at the end of the calendar year. And then the last piece after that will be an application that will go through to get approved for Title IV funding, which is federal student loans and Pell Grants. And so accreditation, by like this time next year, what we're expecting is that incoming students can access those kinds of tools. They can access 539 college savings plans if they have like a family member, parent, whatever, who might have done that for them. There are all kinds of like private loans. It also makes your Turing tuition, and it makes their Turing tuition, not yours, sorry. Oh, that's actually an interesting question. I'll have to look into it. But it makes their Turing tuition tax deductible off of their future earnings, which is pretty cool. There's just a lot of ways that it makes Turing like more financially accessible and like a smaller hill to climb. So we're excited about it.
Thank you. Cool. Yeah, I tried to just do a quick overview, but Jeff knows all the nitty-gritty details. All right, cool. So I'm gonna have one more quick breakout group, and we're getting a little bit close on time. But so we talked about some of these updates and changes. So now I want you to talk about, since you've been a part of the Turing community, what's the biggest change you've seen at Turing, and then what is one thing that you hope never changes at Turing? Get you into groups. And there you go. All right. So this is sort of the unofficial breakout room for folks who are coming in at different times. So hello. So again, here to listen. So since you've been a part of Turing, or around Turing, what has been one of the biggest changes you've seen? And then what is one thing you hope never changes?
Obviously, the switch to remote is a ginormous thing. I remember I started, and it was right kind of halfway through. I did half in, half out of mine. So it's kind of a very big thing, and everybody I know from my mods got through it, and we had to adapt. I hope that can go back to normal, in quotes, because that was the one thing that I really liked about Turing, and now hope they never change it away again. If we can, is that it's still an in-person thing. I think when it's remote, even with the accreditation, it kind of gives it a feeling of it doesn't take a full-time commitment, because they're like, oh, it's online classes essentially, versus that, but in a seat in a basement was kind of a great feeling, and honestly made it feel like I had my money's worth that it was a good program.
Yeah.
Obviously, things right now don't support that though.
Yeah. Does anybody else have thoughts and share? No thoughts, no feelings.
I think I already shared, so Whitney, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was just looking through like the calendar coming up and noticed that there's still squishies and everything going on, and so I hope that's something that never changes. Like because I know in other boot camps they don't have more like social emotional support like that, so I hope that continues forever.
One thing that I just really loved about Turing and my experience there rings true for this as well is like a lot of people going to Turing are doing like complete life changes and like going from different careers. And I think that it's been really cool to just see so many people grow in that way. And like we've grown together from some of us being like unprofessional people and kind of really struggling to make ends meet to like just having this new life and really appreciating even the things that aren't so fun about the job, like being in lots of meetings or staring at a computer all day. We just like appreciate the new life that we have. And I just think that has been, I think it creates a really unique like developer, somebody who has gone through this experience and has had prior experience kind of really working hard and then working even harder at Turing and then having this new life. And I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's really nice. Great. All right, I'm gonna keep cranking. It looks like we got folks back. So I'm going to share some program data right now, and this is really more focused on students and rather than like mentor specific, but we are going to have an opportunity to just sort of like have some thoughts on like what kind of data would you like us to track for you? What would be most relevant for you as a mentor? What would be most helpful? So what I'm going to be sharing is data, like a few different pieces of data for our own like internal achievements tracking. So every year we come up with a set of achievements, which is sort of like an optimistic way of saying like we have some goals for ourselves that we want to try and hit. And then throughout the year, we go back to the data and check it and look to see if we're actually hitting those markers. So I'm going to go through a few of those with you right now, and then we'll talk about some options that would be good that you might for mentor specific things that we might want to be tracking for you. So the first one we're going to talk about is enrollment. So this is interesting if we just think about like the COVID impact. So we can see we had, well actually hang on, sorry, just a second. So our goal for enrollment is that each cohort is 90% enrolled 49 days before the start date of that cohort. So essentially we want to make sure that we're filling cohorts a little bit ahead of the curve, so that it gives folks a chance to get through mod zero, just sort of like get all the life things organized, and also just make sure that we are filling classrooms. So so if we look at this, we can see in January we had a pretty good, we hit that mark. So we see this like red bar that indicates that 90% mark. So we had at the beginning of the COVID times, we saw that we do see a dip in 2005 and 2006, but then our enrollment has actually been pretty stable and pretty consistent as sort of people have sort of adapted to the sort of COVID life, which has been really positive. So we actually have seen good markers with enrollment, which is good. Like I think this is one of those big life moments and people are like, you know what, if I'm going to make a big change, I might as well just do it now when everything is aflame. Might as well. So the next thing we're going to talk about is just some demographic data. So our metric that we try to hit is we want our racial and gender demographics to be representative of the racial and gender demographics of Denver County. And this is just something to kind of help us push to be as diverse as possible. And we're just using Denver County as the marker for that. So if we take a look at this, we can see on the right side, we have Denver County. So we see it's a fairly even split. And then we see on the left side, we have the Turing data. And we're fairly close with male. We are not close with female. And then we also see we have a pretty significant portion of folks who are non-reporting. So we do have a portion of our students who just don't submit or they don't report the demographic survey when we fill that out. So something to keep in mind. And that's an interesting, that non-reporting group is an interesting group to sort of watch as we look through this. But we also see that we're working on it. This is something that we have work to do. We're still trying. The next thing that's interesting is the racial breakdown. So again, we can see we have a pretty significant group that's non-reporting, but we also have, we are pretty consistent with Asian Pacific Islanders, and then also the 2 or more races. So we are hitting some of these markers for racial breakdowns, but not all of them. So basically, we can do better. We are trying to do better. We are working to reach these populations and these groups and these communities and make sure that we are giving them the same opportunity that the people from more represented groups are finding with Turing. So we are working hard to reach these communities, but still have work to do. Then, if we take a look at graduation rates, so the metric here is that we want to have 90% of students who begin Mod 1 graduate within 150% of the expected program length, which basically means 90% of students who start Mod 1 graduate within 6 modules. So they get their 2 repeats, but they still graduate, still successful through the program. If we take a look at this, both front end and Jeff, was somebody unmuted? Oh, okay. Both front end and back end are not quite there. So again, we have work to do. But this is not a granular breakdown of the graduation rates. This is just whole program. Then if we take a look at the graduation rate that's slightly more broken down and more granular, so we are going to look at the race or gender breakdowns a little bit in this subset. And then we can see, and so the goal for this is that we want to have the graduation rate be within 5% of the overall graduation rate. So the graduation rate for these individual subgroups be consistent with the overall graduation rate. So we can see that for front end, we're hitting those. Like we're doing fairly well. We still have this non-reporting group, which is interesting. They are graduating less frequently. And then we have back end. So again, like if we think about this from the mark of the whole program as a whole, that red bar indicates the total program breakdown. And so basically what I wanted to show you
one thing on that
yes,
one, Louisa.
Absolutely.
So this is kind of the thread Louisa alluded to earlier that I think is fascinating in this data is that for the last 2 years or so that we had the demographic data, we had this demographic survey, it was mentioned in a bullet list of things to do before you come to Turing. Read this, sign up for this account, whatever, do this demographic survey, and there is no follow-up on it. And what the data shows you is that the completion of that survey is the single greatest predictor of whether someone will graduate or not. Like if you're a person who reads bullet lists and goes like, oh, I should do this thing and does it, or makes a note to come back and do it later, you probably graduate. And if you don't graduate. And it's just like, damn, that's crazy. So we just need to send out a bullet list of some trivial to-dos, and then we can tell you who will and won't graduate. But we've shifted things recently because the data completion is, or the quality of the data set is really important, obviously, to like drawing conclusions. So now there is follow-up, and everybody has to submit the survey. They don't have to fill it out, if that makes sense. So they can like open it and click some NAs or whatever and then submit it, but at least they have to do something now. That's all.
Thank you. Excellent. So I've just a little bit more, and then so basically I just wanted to share this data, especially with like the demographic breakdown and how we still have work to do at Turing to reach those communities. But I just wanted to highlight that the work that you do as a mentor really has a significant impact on those students, especially those students from those groups that are that have less representation in our program. Like them working with you and them seeing you being successful, having successfully gotten through the program yourself, having a job, being a part of the industry, that matters so much. And I just want to say that like the work that you do is really, really valuable for students, especially from those underrepresented groups and those folks that maybe don't see a lot of people that share the same perspectives or the same backgrounds or the same experiences that you might share with them. So just want to, again, just come back to the fact that like what you do really matters as a mentor. And then just, so in the future, what I would really love to do is in these sort of like data shares, I would really love to share like mentor specific information and mentor specific data. So suggestions that we've had for what this could be would be potentially like alumni salaries 1 year post graduation. What was the length of your first job? How has COVID impacted you? Has it impacted you? How many mentors are alumni? What percentage did not attend Turing? So how many are coming to us from outside of the Turing community and coming to us and joining the community after they've already started their careers? And then what were you doing pre-Turing? So these are just some things that I would love to hear from you, like what you would like to see and what would be impactful and meaningful for you to know about. And we are running a little bit short on time, and I want to give Jeff a chance to do some sharing. And again, but the last reflection would be just again, sort of like this idea of like, I would really like to hear what data would be that you're curious about and would be useful to you, and then what it means to you to have an impact on Turing. And so in the interest of time, because again, this is your lunch break and I want to make sure that I'm not keeping you from anything. So we're going to go ahead, jump to Jeff's, and I will send out a survey with these questions. And then if you have any thoughts you want to share, I'd love to hear them. So I'll send that out later today. So Jeff.
Sure.
Take it away.
You can probably unshare there. So yeah, just want to spend the last couple minutes. Like, I'm happy to answer questions if you have questions about any of these like topics that we haven't said enough on already. I think the overall story for Turing is really good, continues to be really good. As Luis was showing, like enrollment through the spring, the first questions when we moved remote were, is everybody going to drop out? Is everybody going to drop out? Is anyone going to sign up? And so pretty quickly, it was like 2 people needed to leave because of family stuff and everybody else stayed. So that was really good. And then people kept signing up. So in April and June, we like set records for the most applications in a week and like set the record a couple times over. So that was really great. And then the focus became jobs, right? Where really quickly in the spring, the job picture kind of melted down. In the beginning of April, we saw something we've never seen before, which was alums having job offers retracted that they had already like signed and they were about to start and get those canceled. And so that was kind of the blinking red light of like, things are really weird this time. Like, this is not just a little blip on the radar. So yeah, we started up Turing Plus. We've been able to get a lot of folks into that. It's really the mission number 1 in Turing Plus was like get people to September was the plan. So this is in the spring, and it was like, how do we just get people 12 weeks out and like get them some money along the way and hope that things can kind of improve. And that played out pretty well. We were able to put together some foundation money, some of our own money, and some state government money, and pay people like a little stipend. So they did work for 12 weeks. The first ones of those have just finished. So within the last 2 weeks, I think, and still pulling up, still kind of like figuring out the implications. One of the like interesting consequences or interesting conclusions is that a decent number of fellows got a job before the end of their fellowship and left the fellowship. And so that's a great outcome for them. And for like, we're happy about it. And also the fellow company is like, oh, I thought this was gonna be 12 weeks and then they were here 4 weeks and they left. So what's up? Like there are pieces like that we have to figure out. How do you have those conversations and set expectations and all that? But I think we're gonna see, okay, so then also piece 2 on employment is that the job market is definitely warming back up. We saw in September twice as many jobs as August, and August had twice as many as July. So that's great. There is also this huge pool of job hunters. So the job hunter pool is typically like 40 to 55 kind of area. And right now it's at like 110, 112. So there's, even with warming of jobs, we're now entering Q4, which is typically the worst part of the year for job hunting. And so we're trying to just like keep the pool from growing as we get to like January, February, Q1, and hope that things with coronavirus and so forth, like in the election, like God knows what could happen between now and January. But just trying to like keep it from getting worse during that time so that folks can start like actually we can make progress kind of in that pool in early 2021, get this accreditation stuff together. We also, I kind of mentioned it, I guess you would say, announced it at State Attorney this morning that we're going to stay remote until at least May. And I expect that to go further. That was just as far as I was ready to say today. I think realistically, the first in-person students will probably be in June or August of next summer. When we get to that point, we'll do it as like a phased reopening where it's like only mod 1 is in person, and then the next inning mod 1 and mod 2, and then mod 2, 1, 2, 3. Meanwhile, like in that first session, mod 2, 3, and 4 would stay remote. So students who start remote now will finish remote. And yeah, there's just like a million niches of Turing news and perspective and so forth that I could jump into. Are there any like burning questions on your mind?
I'm curious if like now that Turing is full remote and it's opened up the possibility for people anywhere to do Turing, has there been considering of like having in-person cohort and a remote cohort just forever, like having this more remote programs even once we're all healthy and safe?
Yeah. We've done some exercises around like a bunch of different options, such as just stay remote, go back all in person, have copies of front end or back end or both remote and in person. We're also discussing 2 serious ideas of new programs, like 3rd or 4th programs that could operate remotely. And I've said that I'm going to decide by the end of this inning. So by Thanksgiving, I'm supposed to have decided. We have a little bit of a cooling period or a freeze period with regards to this accreditation. We have to kind of pretend like we're not changing anything until April, or at least like kind of keep it slightly under wraps. And so the target for me is like April, May, to have whatever the next plan is to like have it in motion. And maybe the plan should be like, don't change anything, just keep it simple and like have enough students and staff and jobs and money and stuff. But I don't really do that. So I would say it is exceptionally likely 90+% that before the end of Q2 that we will have added to the like historical structure of Turing. So there will be more than just front end and back end in person. At this time, given what we know, I expect front end and back end to come in person eventually to like offer an in-person experience. If I was on the Turing board, I would actually be advocating the opposite, which is like, why are you coming back? Just do this. And I imagine we'll have that conversation over the next couple months. But the thing that's most appealing to me right now is to offer a 3rd program that is the online program that's different. And I'm really interested in targeting QA jobs, like an automated QA, where we could potentially train people half-time in 3 mods, like 20 weeks, be able to offer it at a lower price point, do it all remotely, and then get folks into jobs that are in maybe this like 50 to 65K kind of range, and then really, really target that at a population that we don't actually serve that well, which is people 18 to 26 without a college degree, which are referred to as like opportunity youth in the whatever, fundraising community and so forth. So that's the plan that to me feels like the biggest change, like we can address a population that we have not addressed before. We can like do things that are important for them and so forth. And so yeah, look for that. I think beginning of next inning, like right after Thanksgiving, to be announcing that stuff. I've used up all my time per usual.
Thank you. All right, so we are right at 12:59. So does anybody have any last questions, thoughts, sharings?
They'll be putting them in the Zoom, in the Slack, if Slack works now.
Slack is behaving itself, yes.
Great.
All right.
Doing a great job.
Oh.
I really appreciate the experience. So.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming. All right, so I will be sharing the video in Slack. I'll be dropping the slide deck, and I'll be dropping the link to the resource site, and I'll also be sending out like just a survey with some of these questions that we were doing small group breakouts, just in case you have any thoughts that you think would be valuable. And then I'm also like, if you have any thoughts, if you want to chat, if you have questions, please let me know, and I'm happy to set up a time to chat with you. So have a lovely afternoon. Oh,
I think you mean peace out.
Yeah, peace out.
That's what you told me.
According to
Okay.
the chat. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.